Hello everyone, welcome to my another video. In this video, I'm going to create a production ready app without writing a single word for the backend code. And if you are a front-end developer, web or mobile, who often got stuck at their work because the APIs are not ready yet or they're not providing the data as you needed. So you came to the right place. Today I'm going to show you how you can create the database, backend or API for your app without learning any new technology or framework. And if you're working on an MVP, so this might be a tool that can help you to get to the market faster, quicker, and cheaper. So let me show you the demo of the application that I'm going to build. But before that, just like this video so that this video can reach to the maximum people and help others as well. So let's go to the demo. In this video, we are going to create this application in ReactJs where user can able to see a graph, left navigation, and the total profit that they made so far, and their recent trades from their total trades, and on click on the see more trades or trades over here, they will go to the another page where they can see all of their trades, add more, edit and delete them. And also all of this application is going to be backed by AWS Amplify. So you will also learn how to use the admin UI to create data models and create these APIs which we can consume on the front end. And this is our admin UI. We will learn how to create data model right in the browser without writing a single line of backend code. We will create our models over here. Then we will add content to that which will display in our application. And let me show you one over here. Let's say when you create a trade, let me call a test trade, the quantity of 100 and price of this one. Let's say I did it on 1st March at 10 a.m. and I did a buy action, and boom, you got this one over here, and it will show into your application as well. So this is a live application, and in this course of 1 hour and 30 minutes approx, you will learn this everything and without writing any single line of the backend code. So let's get started. So I divided this into 5 parts. So first one is setting up the new application, where I will set up the new ReactJs application and new Amplify app. And then the second part is creating the UI, where I'm going to use Material UI for creating the UI. And then the third part is to host the application on AWS Amplify. And after that, I will create the backend using AWS Amplify admin UI. And in the last part, we're going to consume all of that API using Amplify for frontend. And I also added all of the timestamps in the description, so you can jump to the previous to the sections you want to. But I will recommend you to follow along from the first part. And if you are new to Amplify, and let's start our first step by setting up a ReactJs application on our system. So let's create our new React application with create React app, and I'm going to name it stock bookkeeping app. And this command is going to take some time. Meanwhile, let's create our Amplify app also. You need to have Amplify CLI installed globally in your system, and you can do that by running this command. Now let's open another command prompt in the same project directory, and we need to run Amplify init command to start a new Amplify app. Here we need to select some defaults like project name. I will keep stock app, and we need to select the environment. Let's keep it as it is. Select editor, select the language, select framework, path, build path, and we can just press enter. These are the right commands, and we need to set up AWS profile. I haven't set it up on my system, so I will choose no. And then we need to pass the access key ID and secret access key. If you do not have set up that file, you can get it from your AWS console. And that's pretty much it. Now it will take some time depending on your network, because it need to set up some resources on the cloud. Okay, that's done. Now let's see our React application. Well, it's also done. So let's run it locally. You need to do cd first and then run the yarn start command. Okay, so our app is loading in the browser and it's ready. And now I'm going to set up Material UI because that's what I'm going to use to create the UI of my application. So let's check this out and let's install this in our application using Yarn, because Yarn is the default package manager using by this command line. And meanwhile it's loading, let's set up the fonts and we need to go into editor. Oops, it's not open, so let's open the VS Code first. So let's go into public index.html and here we need to paste that font. Yep, okay, that's it. Now okay, let's remove some of the boilerplate code as well. So from app.js, let's delete all of this boilerplate code and just put hello for now. And we can also remove these files which is not required. So let's remove this import statement first, and then we will delete this app.css. Delete, yep, move to recycle bin, and then yep, delete this. And okay, we are getting the hello. So let's install the icons. Let's use the yarn command instead of the link. Okay, so let's install it, and also let's install the React Router DOM. So because we need to do the routing as well in our application. Now let's set up routes in our application. For that, let's go into index.js and create browser router and wrap our app file inside the browser router. And now let's go to app.js and we will create our routes here that will be wrapped in switch statement. So let's create the initial route and let's test this one. It's working fine. Let's create another one, trade. So these are the two routes we're going to use in our application as of now, and this one is also working fine. Now let's create two different pages so that we can use that components here. Let's create the first one, a dashboard. So for now I'm just rendering the simple h4 or text which we can add over there. And then let's create a navigation component. So we will create two nav links to navigate between two of the pages, and we will use nav link from React Router DOM here to create that. So it's done. So now implement that in our dashboard, and now let's add that component here. And next we will create our second page, which is trades. And we just copy paste all of the code from dashboard, and I will rename the component name to trade. And that's it for now. Let's add that component as well. Now let's test this out, and yeah, it's working fine. So we successfully implemented routing in our application. Next, I'm going to use a template from Material UI for our dashboard. So let's look at some of the templates. We're going to use the first one. Let's look at the code, and let's jump to a demo of the dashboard. And it has links on the left, it has graph, data table, everything we need. So it's pretty good. So I'm going to use this one. And for that, I'm going to use this down-git to download this one. And this is a pretty good tool. So if you want to download any of the repository from GitHub, you can download that from this one. So let's copy the URL from here and just put it over here and click on the download button. It will download all of the files from this route, which is only this template, this 6 files. Let's copy this and go to src pages dashboard and just paste all of that files over here. And that's it, we have all of the template. Let's go. Okay, this needs recharts also. Let's download that one. So maybe we can remove this as well, but for now I'm just keeping that graph over there. That looks good on the dashboard. Okay, it's done, and this is our local. We get the dashboard, and let's just remove some of the file which we don't need. Let's remove that secondary list items which is here down, second reports. Let's remove this one, and then remove them from where it is declared, because we are not going to use this in our project. And also let's rename this navigation to what we need, from orders to trade, and this customers, let's change this to open positions, and the rest we don't need. So I'm going to remove that as of now. We can create those later if we need. Okay, so let's change this recent deposit column as well. So we are going to show the total profit to the user for every day when they log in. So let's rename this to total profit, and also let's change this date to a dynamic one. So I'm going to use moment here, so because we are going to show the date whenever user logged in, so it's always the current date. So let's use moment for this, and it should be in dd mm and yyyy format. And also let's install this because it's already not there. Yarn add moment to add it, and also import it in the top of our file. Import moment from moment. Sorry, type moment. Yep. Okay, so we got it, but the format is incorrect. Oops, what it is. Let's change this one. I think there's some mistake I did over there. So it should be capital M, and it should be single D. Cool. Yeah, it's showing the current date now, and we don't need this view balance button. So let's comment this one for now. Maybe we add it later. And now let's modify this data table down here. So I will rename it from recent orders to recent trades, and we also need to change this data table down there to match our data object. So I'm going to change all of this data. Cool. So I just change all of this data to look it like our tool, and then let's modify this button, see more orders, to see more trades, and this should redirect to our trades page which we just made. And just okay, cool. So it's moving to our trade page. We just have to do the UI of that, but for now I think we are good to go. Our UI is good, and next we will implement AWS backend to it, and for that let's move to our next part where we are going to deploy this application to the Amplify. Okay, so let's deploy our application, and you can see this app is already created over here when we do Amplify init. And to deploy our application we need to push this to GitHub. So for that let's add it to Git, and then I will create a new repo with the name of stock app. The name is available, so I'm going to create a repository, and then I will going to push all of my code to this repository, git remote add origin, and then I will change the branch to main and push everything here. And once the code got pushed to GitHub, then we go back to Amplify to link this up, and let's jump back to Amplify, and now we go inside the app, go to the front end environment tab, select GitHub, connect branch, and then it will fetch all of the repository from our GitHub. For me it's already connected, so it will fetch, it will not ask me to log in again. So I need to select the repository which I just created, stock app, and then we need to select which branch we want, and then just hit the next button. And then there are some auto detected framework. It detects React and Amplify, so we need to choose the backend environment. We created only one, so which is dev. Let's select that one, and it provides us the configuration for deploy, and it looks fine. We can able to edit that as well but let's deploy this. Okay, so it started the deployment. Meanwhile, let's go into the backend and set up the admin UI also. And here we go. Let's turn this on, and it started deploying the admin UI as well. So it's going to take some time because it's going to create some resources, and it's also going to run the build for our code. So meanwhile, I'm going to jump back to the code because I need to make some changes to create the second screen. And I'm going to create a new layout for the second page, and I'm going to take out the common stuff and put it into the app layout so that we can use the same layout between the different screens. I'm going to cut that from index dashboard and put it in the app layout. And let's copy all of the imports as well to there. Okay, so we extract all of the common code from the dashboard that can be reusable into different layouts. So now let's look at the dashboard. So you can see it's gone, header in the left bar. And now wrap this to app layout, and now you can see the app layout came in, but the main content is gone. For that, we need to make a change in our app layout. We need to enable prop.children over here so that it can get all of the children data and render it. So you can see we get the dashboard back. So now we have two parts. One is app layout, and then we have that, but trades we haven't made any modification, so we are going to wrap trade also in app layout. And here you can see, so now it also gets the same layout, but the title is still this dashboard, so we need to make the title also dynamic. So for that, I'm going to remove this dashboard and I'm going to receive it from the props. So I'm going to change to props.page name, so every page can send the name and it will show that. So let's go to the dashboard first and add a prop to it named dashboard, and then go to trade and add the same here. So let's change it to trade, and that's it. So you can see we get that, and it's all good. So with that, we have all of this two screens created already. So now let's see if the app is ready, and our application is ready on Amplify. Let's check this out, and you can see it's exactly same as on our local. So it take the code from GitHub and deploy it on Amplify. And now we need to set up the backend for it. So let's go into the admin UI, and from admin UI now we create the data model for our project basically. So first we're going to create a data model for the data table that we created down there for trades, and let's create a model for that. And this is the model. You can assume this as your data table, the columns and rows in that, and it will have an ID, and then it will have a script name, and the type of it would be string, and then you need to see what are the other fields. So we are going to have action and quantity, and the type for quantity will be integer, and then we are going to have price, and this is going to be float, so pricing can be in digits, and the amount will also be float. And then we have by date. For that we have AWS date time. Then we're going to create sell date. It's also going to be same AWS date and time. And then we also going to have profit. This is also going to be float. And now we need an enum for the buy action. So the trade actions could be, you can buy a trade, you can sell a trade, so we can create an enum here as well. So let's create that, and then we are going to create a field name action, and we will get that enum over here in the drop down name trade action. The last you can see over there, and we're going to select that. And now we just need to deploy it, and Are you sure you want to deploy? Yes, let's click the button of deploy, and it will start deploying your models and enums to your backend. And that's pretty much it. And this by creating this model, and now it will automatically create the database for you, and it will create the endpoints in AppSync and give you that endpoint from where you can able to make the get request to your front-end application, and you can able to create, post, update and patch all of that APIs. So now let's see the implementation of it in the front end. On the top right here, we can able to see the status of the deployment, and as I said, it's set up different resources at the back end. So it's deploying that currently, and you can see that update in progress is there, and all of the status is here, and when it's deployed you will get the notification over here, and it's just did. So you can see now it's giving us this code that we need to copy to our system to get the latest code in our local as well. So let's copy this one, and now when I run this command, so this command will pull the dev environment to my local. And if you remember, in this beginning we created the dev environment from our CLI itself, but it deployed it to the cloud, and now we we created a model in the cloud. And so now whatever changes we did there, we created a new model, we created a new enum over there, so it will fetch the code because it created a schema that we need in the front end. So it will not fetch all of the data, but it will fetch the boilerplate code that it generate automatically, so that we can have it in our source code. So this command will take some time, depend on your network connection. So now it's fetching all of the resources from the cloud to my local system, and it just did. So I get the latest environment dev. Now let's go to the code to see what I'm getting here. So I get this model directory. Inside that I get the model and the schema. You can see I got the enum that I created, and then I got the schema. So this is the schema of that I just created over there. So this is the boilerplate code that it generate automatically, so I can refer to it whenever I need it. And with that, it also provide me a AWS export.js file. So in this file you can see the GraphQL endpoint is here. So it will not have any secret keys over here, but the keys that AWS Amplify requires are going to be here only. So now we need to install AWS Amplify in our local system, and once we did that, then we need to copy this configuration from here to our index.js file, our entry point. So let's go into index.js file to put this code over there. So this is the front end package of AWS Amplify that you need to have in your repository. So now we imported that. So what does this code is doing is basically we are importing the Amplify from the package, and then we are updating its configuration with the config file that we have. Next, let's go back to admin UI, and you can see we also have this drop down model over here to select the model that we created. We created trade, and then we can select the operation that we want to do, and based on that it can give us all of the boilerplate code that we need an application. So now we are going to do the query, and this is the code it gave us that we can put in our application, and we can fetch the data. And let's copy this code from here, and then we are going to put this in our index.js file, and here we are just importing the data store from AWS Amplify, and then we are importing the model from our model directory, and the rest of the fetching we are going to put in use effect. So let's create a use effect function over here. So this will fetch the data whenever the component loads. So, and for now I'm just putting it in the console to see what data we are getting here. So let's see, let's jump back. Okay, it's not able to resolve models. Let's check that. Oops, the path is incorrect. Let's correct that one. Okay, I'm able to open that one now. I haven't get any models yet because I think I haven't added any data over there. So let's jump back to the admin UI and add some content go to the content tab, and here is our trades model. Create a trade and fill up some dummy data over here to fetch that data in our application. Let's put some dummy data, like let's select a date, time, and you can see in action we got the drop down because we created an enum for that. Let's handle everything there. So now we have our first data. So let's go back and let's refresh and check in the console. Yeah, we get the data. So you can see in console we get this one object that we created over here. So it has all of the data that we created. Now let's go back to the code and write some implementation to get it in our UI from the console. So I'm going to create a state and I'm going to name it trades and an update trades function. So I'm going to have it like empty array at the beginning. So in my use effect, so whenever it fetch the data, so it should be in try catch, but as of now, but for now in this example I'm just putting it right there as of now as it is. So now let's pass this to our table, which is rendering the table down there, which is the order component over here. So we pass it as a prop. Let's pass it as a trades prop, and let's go back to order, and here we are just doing a static over here, so we will change it with the props. So we replace the rows with props.trades, and yeah, that's it. Let's see. Okay, so you can see we are able to get the data over here in our UI from Amplify. So you can see it's pretty straightforward. So you don't need to configure the API endpoint, the dev environment, staging environment, that URL. So Amplify is handling all of that for you. You don't need to handle that, and that's why I said it's a production ready app. So let's modify it. Some of the data is not displaying over there, so I'm going to change the date format, and the script name is also not coming, so let's fix this as well. It's script name, so let's change name to script name, and yeah, we get it. So yeah, so now this app is getting all of the data from the backend. Now let's commit this code to push it on the staging, and let's create another trade to see it isn't working. And because I haven't made all of the field mandatory, so this time I'm going to fill only some of data. Enter date, and further I will add this amount will be calculated automatically based on the price and quantity. So now we have another entry in our database. Let's go back to the app. So you can see we get the data for the date 2nd March here. Now let's create trades page, because ideally we want to show all of the trades in that page, because on dashboard we are just going to show a recent 5 or 10 trades, and then user will click on see more trades and he will go to that page, and we will have filtering, data sorting, all of that stuff on that page. So before that, let's clean up the order.js. Just I'm removing the unused function and variables from this file first, and I'm just going to reuse this code in the trades.js file, because as of now I'm just going to show the table over there, which is going to be look something similar, but the difference is that only in the dashboard we have limited amount of data, and in trades I'm going to have all of the data over there with pagination and all that stuff. So I just copy pasted the code from order.js file, and then because we are going to the different page, and then we need more data over on this page, and I'm going to call that API again on this page to fetch all of the traits from our server. Oops, I got an error for title. I think this path is not correct. So title is in dashboard directory, so let's move it to the component so that all of the files can access it. Okay, so let's save all of the files because the path is got changed everywhere. Okay, so let's go back to orders and let's fix the path. Components and traits is not there. Oh, oops, I think by mistake I just put it in the src. Let's move it to back to the components directory. Okay, yeah, so we get it here. So hopefully it should fix the error. Oops, I get 2 more errors. I haven't imported React and props in this file. So I'm just removing React because like in newer version in Create React app we do not need to have React in scope for creating components. So we can only import the modules that we are using. So for example, fragment. Okay, cool. Classes. Oops, I need to copy the classes from there as well because I'm using some styling. So it's there for see more. We don't need the button. Let's delete that button. Why it's again giving the error. Cool, it got fixed. So we get the table over here. It doesn't have the background, so I think it used paper in the dashboard for that. So I'm adding 2 more columns over here to edit and delete this data. Let's add a button over here. Oops, I need to import this as well from material. But it's not imported. Okay, it got fixed. So now we need data over here. Now let's copy this to fetch the data. And in use effect, copy this as well. And now let's copy this state also so that we can have that data. So now I don't need the props because I am having this in local state and I'm not passing it from anywhere. Traits has already been declared. Oops, I need to change the name of the component itself because the model also have the same name. So let's change it to traits component. That's cool. Okay, great. So we get the data over here as well, so you can see. And let's create the edit and delete buttons over here. So we have the buy action, but I think we need 3 values in that enum. So one is when buy, then sell, and third one should be traded. So when you have one order placed, so you buy some stocks and then you sell something, and when you do buy and sell on that, and then that should be called as traded. So let's add that also. Okay, so with that change we may need to pull it again, so it will fetch the latest code from the Amplify, because the model, not the model but the enum got changed, so it will fetch the models again. And the command is simple, the pull command. And let's put the container and the paper here, so we get the styling part of that as well. It needs classes, so I'm just going to create an empty object for now, so that it won't throw any error for classes. Chart we don't need, and let's close this tags over here. Paper, great. And still there is an error. I need to close that container. Still there is an error. Let me see why it's coming. Okay, let's import this one. These imports are missing. I think I haven't closed something. Okay, so this grid is not closed. Cool. Yeah, so it got fixed now. Let's remove this comment. Oops, got another error. So you definitely get this kind of error when you just copy paste code from here and there. Fixed. So let's just remove that class. Okay, so we get the design over here. So let's commit our code so that we deploy all of our latest changes to the server. Git commit. And I think that's it for this video, and I'm stopping here. So we covered a lot in this video, and I'm going to share the GitHub repository code in the description of this video, so you can check that out as well if you need the code. And you can ask me if you got any errors in your system while setting these things up, or if you need any help, you can just let me know in the comments. And that's it for this video. And you can see in a very few amount of time we created this application, and we set up a backend, and we fetch that API into a front end, and we don't need to configuration that API endpoints and all for our local, for our development server, and for everything else. And it's everything managed by AWS Amplify. So I hope you like this video. And if you are looking for implementing authentication into this and more functionality to this application, I have created separate videos for that, so you can check that out. I will add the link in the description. And thank you very much. And if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. In future, I'm also going to push more videos related to this. Thank you. See you next time.